Hi, I'm Denise Myers, Director of Communications and PR for Magnolia ISD. I'm here today with Celeste Graves, who has been with Magnolia ISD for 63 years. And she's going to tell us a little bit about the history about the school district. Good morning, Celeste.
Good morning.
So tell us, when did you graduate from Magnolia, I guess it was Magnolia High School?
Right. 1935, we only had 11 grades, and I was 15.
Okay, and what are some of your memories about going to school in Magnolia?
Well, they were all good because I always enjoyed going. I wasn't the best scholar in the world, but it was fun to go to school. I wasn't much of an athlete either. I played softball, that's about all I played, but all of our courts, like basketball, volleyball, and everything was outside. We didn't have a gym.
Mm-hmm.
And there were only 8 in my graduating class.
Okay.
So that's not very big.
That's not very big. What are some of your fondest memories of going to school?
Well, I guess one of my favorites is, one of my favorite people was Mr. Ellisor, who was actually my second grade teacher is when he first came, and he became superintendent. And he was very strict, and well, like for instance, he was my history teacher. I never liked history in high school.
Mm-hmm.
And while he was discussing history, well, I was reading the next chapter, And he caught me at it one day, and he made me stay in for recess because we had recesses back then. We could go out and play, a couple
Sure.
a day. And he made me stay in for about 3 weeks, and I had to stay in and sweep the halls because I wasn't preparing myself for my lessons that good. But he was real strict, but he was real fun because on rainy days or bad days, well, we played. We had a real long hall, and we'd have sack races, and they'd have races like with a broomstick, like one front,
Mm-hmm.
one back, and we'd have spelling bees and all kinds of fun things when it was bad weather.
What was school like before? Today we have all the technology with smart boards and iPads and Chromebooks and anything you can think of, but what was school like for you?
Of course, we didn't have electricity out here until the 40s. So when I was in high school,
Mm-hmm.
we had to study by lamps. But my dad, he was always one step ahead of everybody for some reason. He had what he called a Delco system, which I'm sure is a generator, what they use as a generator now.
Okay.
And so we had electricity in our house, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't have to use lamps. We did when I was in elementary, but by the time I got to high school, we had an indoor bath and we had electricity, so to speak.
Mm-hmm. Well, good. When you were a teenager in school, what did you do for fun? Where did y'all hang out?
Well, this sounds probably boring to the students now, but we rode a lot of horses. Everybody had a horse, and we'd even have night rides and weenie roasts. And Mr. Ellisor was always our chaperone, and his wife would cook cakes and pies and bring them out while we roasted weenies. We had dances in people's homes, and my parents never minded me dancing.
Mm-hmm.
And so we would alternate different homes and have dances. And we just walk down the railroad tracks, just take pictures. We took a lot of pictures. Cedric and Sewell were born in June, and I was born in August, and our parents were very good friends. And so I've known them all their lives. They were just mischievous kids. Well, like for instance, we had this big water tower, and then sneak in there and go swimming at night. Climb up on the water tower.
Oh, goodness.
That type of thing. But they were always mischievous. They were into something. One of the cute things that I think about Cedric and Sewell is that Mrs. Dean lived across the street from me. Her husband owned the Dean store. And she'd pick up her daughter and maybe me, and then she wouldn't pick up anybody else. And the kids would jump on the back, Cedric Sewell would jump on her back bumper, and she'd get out and make them get off of her back bumper,
Yeah.
Well, when my mom would pick me up, well, we were loaded as much as our car would take, and the first time they ever jumped on her bumper, she just looked in the rearview mirror and just drove real slow so they wouldn't fall off, you know. Well, that was no fun, you know, so they didn't jump on her bumper anymore. But because when I started in '52, we only had what's now the 6th grade campus, and it wasn't as large as it is. We had a gymnasium between the elementary
Sure.
and the high school. And you knew every kid by name, and so I missed that when we started growing after we moved to the high school, because my office was I was kind of a counselor too, I guess, because kids would come in my office and talk on their off periods.
What jobs have you served
Here at school, you
with the
mean?
school district?
Well, mostly just starting out like I did with the bookkeeper, but in 1953, they couldn't find a shorthand teacher. And so my boss, my superintendent at the time was Mr. McIntosh, and he asked me if I would teach a class in shorthand and told me I wouldn't have to prepare at home. I could do it in my office. And so he said, just temporary until we can find a shorthand teacher. So I said, sure. Well, I just taught it for 17 years is all, besides having my office work to do. But that was the most memorable time, I guess, because I was not the Orthodox teacher. We had class 4 days a week. On Friday, we had Cokes and cookies and talked about how to act as a secretary when you went to work and how to treat your boss and how to dress and all of that. So, and now those students that I taught still come to see me. I have one group that comes every 3 months, the 1953 through 55. They've all stayed close and have about 10 of those. And then I have some that come a couple of times a year. And it makes me feel good that they want to keep in touch. Because we had about 300 students when I started and 25 teachers.
Wow.
Our budget was like $100,000.